The video documents a military engagement in Ukraine, in which Ukrainian forces reportedly waited for a Russian convoy to approach a major bridge and then deployed 300 kg TM-62 anti-tank mines or bombs to strike the bridge. The tactic appears to be a defensive ambush measure, attempting to hamper Russian movement across a strategic crossing. While the video's narration and visuals focus on the moment of detonation and the damage inflicted, the background context is critical. Controlling bridges and choke points in a war zone is often decisive. Disabling or destroying bridges can sever supply lines, slow advances, and force enemies to take alternate, often more dangerous or less efficient routes. Key details from the video. 1. Weapon used, TM-62. The video states that 300 kg TM-62 mines, likely the TM-62 series of Soviet-Russian anti-tank mines, were used. The TM-62 is a family of anti-tank mines. Depending on variant, they can contain significant explosive charge. The reference to 300 kg suggests either a cluster or modified load, or possibly a descriptive exaggeration. 2. Tactical setup. The narrative implies that Ukrainian forces allowed the Russian convoy to approach sufficiently, lured them toward the bridge structure, then detonated the mines to maximize structural damage and vehicle losses. The implication is a kill zone design. Russian forces likely had limited options, being constrained by terrain and the bridge, meaning the damage would be more effective. 3. Effects aftermath. The visuals in the video show significant destruction to the bridge spans, likely rendering the crossing unusable or hazardous. The strike probably inflicted losses on any vehicles on or near the bridge during detonation, and might delay or halt further advance until repair or alternate routes are established. 4. Strategic implications. Destroying or damaging a bridge can have an outsized effect disproportionate to the cost of deploying the explosive. For the attacker, Russia, in this case, it forces adaptation, finding other crossings, diverting logistics through longer routes, or attempting to repair. For the defender, Ukraine, it is a classic delaying tactic and force multiplier. Critical observations and questions. Verification and attribution. The video presents the action as if unambiguously conducted by Ukrainian forces targeting Russian convoys. But in conflict zones, videos can be ambiguous, misattributed, or selectively edited. Independent verification, e.g. on-the-ground reports, multiple sources, is important. Explosive yield and feasibility. The claim of 300 kilograms of explosive in a TM-62 type setup sounds heavy. Standard TM-62 anti-tank mines have warheads on the order of a few to tens of kilograms of explosive. So either it's multiple mines combined, or a special setup, or perhaps the narration exaggerates for effect. Bridge vulnerability and engineering. Bridges are vulnerable to focused explosive attacks, especially at load-bearing points, piers, supports, join points. But not all explosions guarantee full collapse. Sometimes partial damage is enough to make crossing risky. Countermeasures and repair. Opponents, in this case, Russian or pro-Russian forces, would likely try to either repair, build temporary bridges, pontoon bridges, Bailey bridges, etc., or locate alternative crossings. The time and resources for repair are critical. Morale and psychological impact. A dramatic strike like this serves not only tactical purposes but also symbolic and psychological, showing capability, deterrence, and the vulnerability of supposedly secure logistics. Broader military lessons. Use of ambush and delay tactics. In asymmetrical or defense operations, delay, imposing friction on a superior force, is often wise. Destroying bridges is a classical method. Economy of force. A moderate investment in explosives can yield outsized disruption of enemy movement, especially in constrained terrain. Integration of intelligence and timing. For such an operation to succeed, good intelligence, knowing when a convoy will approach, and precise timing are critical. Engineering and logistics in warfare. Warfare is often decided by supply, movement, and infrastructure just as much as by frontline engagements. Control or denial of infrastructure is a force multiplier. Part 2, Reflection, Implications, and Wider Significance, approximately equals 700 to 800 words. Implications for the battlefield. 1. Operational delay for Russian forces. The destruction of a main bridge delays movement of troops, vehicles, supplies, and heavy equipment, tanks, artillery. Even if the Russians salvage or repair it, they lose time, momentum, and may have to reroute through less optimal terrain. 2. Resource allocation costs. Repairing a damaged bridge, or building a bypass, demands engineering units, materials, security, and time. It diverts resources from offensive or other operations. 3. Tactical shifts. The Russians may become more cautious in convoy movements, spread forces more, or use alternate routes, complicating their logistical planning. This incident may force them to adopt different tactics, e.g. airlift, small loads, night movement. 4. Psychological effects. For Ukrainian morale, such strikes act as demonstrations of resistance and capability. For Russian forces, the vulnerability of infrastructure, even behind the front line, raises concerns. 5. Escalation and countermeasures. In response, the Russians may improve route security, more reconnaissance, drones, route clearance, increase bridging assets, or adopt suppressive fire on infrastructure before using it. They may also target suspected mine emplacements before moving. Broader strategic and geopolitical significance. Asymmetry in modern warfare. The video exemplifies how a militarily weaker side can leverage terrain, timing, and infrastructure targeting to hamper a more powerful adversary. It is reminiscent of tactics used in many modern conflicts, where guerrilla, resistance, or defending forces strike at choke points. Information and perception. Videos like this are part military report, part media piece. They influence perception. Showing successes helps rally domestic support and international sympathy. They also serve information warfare, signaling to the enemy that no route is safe. Infrastructure warfare is a domain. Modern wars increasingly treat roads, bridges, power lines, and communication networks as legitimate targets. Disrupting an enemy's infrastructure can distort entire operational tempos. Cost of occupation and control. Holding territory is not just about defeating troops, but controlling lines of communication, supply, and support. If key infrastructure is constantly threatened, the costs of holding territory increase. Risks and ethical dimensions. Collateral damage. Infrastructure damage can affect civilians, cut off water, electricity, access to services, and hamper evacuation or humanitarian aid. The video or its narration does not clearly address whether civilians were at risk or how precautions were taken. Rules of war and proportionality. Attacks on purely military targets are legal under the laws of armed conflict, but the attacker must consider proportionality and discrimination, i.e. avoid excessive civilian harm. Destroying a bridge used also by civilians demands careful consideration. Escalation and retaliation. Such operations can provoke harsher retaliation, targeting civilian infrastructure in response, reprisals, or attempts to escalate the conflict beyond current bounds. Reflections on modern conflict dynamics. 1. Hybrid warfare. The conflict in Ukraine has many elements of hybrid warfare, conventional battles mixed with guerrilla actions, infrastructure strikes, cyber operations, intelligence warfare, and information operations. This video is a slice of that multifaceted theater. 2. Technology and precision. The ability to hit a specific portion of a bridge suggests accurate placement of explosive devices, possibly guided tools, or careful engineering. Modern munitions, sensors, drones, and reconnaissance all contribute to enabling such precision. 3. Attrition versus maneuver. In long conflicts, even small disruptions accumulate. Repeated bridge strikes, road ambushes, and supply interdiction can drain momentum and degrade operational capability over time. 4. Resilience and redundancy. As warfare evolves, so does the importance of resilience. Multiple bridges, redundant routes, immediate repair capabilities, alternative logistics methods, air, river, rail. A side with stronger resilience better withstands such strikes. Conclusion and questions for further thought. The video, Ukraine waited for Russian convoy to enter, then 300 kilograms TM-62 bombs meet main bridge, offers a dramatic example of how infrastructure targeting can influence battlefield outcomes. It underscores that war isn't purely about force strength, but also about timing, intelligence, terrain, and logistical control. Would you like me to expand either part into a full 1,000+ word essay? Focus more on military strategy or engineering aspects? Translate this into Urdu or for a specific audience? Provide diagrams or maps to illustrate bridge vulnerabilities?